Chair Warfield, and today we're going to conduct a musculoskeletal assessment, and this will involve my patient doing several different things. And we would always begin by introducing ourselves and having the patient state his name and birthday, but for purposes of this one, we're going to kind of fast forward through some of that, and we will start with inspection. So initially upon inspection, we're just assessing all of his joints to make sure that they're in place and there's no physical abnormalities that we can see. And he looks fine. How about these knees? No abnormalities with any of his joints. And so from there, we would go forward and have him test range of motion. We're going to begin with the shoulders. Mr. Kane, can I have you stand up for me? And so upon assessing range of motion of his shoulders, we're going to have him abduct his shoulders. Go straight up for me. Straight up. Arms back down. All right, great. Arms straight out and back down. We're going to extend them to the back as far as you can go and back down. I'm also going to have you take your arm, flex it, and touch your shoulder blade, which is internal rotation. I'm going to have you pull it back out. We're going to have you come up to shoulder length and then turn your arms up. And that's external rotation of the shoulder. So he has full range of motion of his shoulder joints. And so now we're going to have him work his elbows. Can you bend them all the way up for me? And then extend them all the way out. Great. Now with your wrists, I want to see if you have full range of motion of your wrist. Okay, great. And then as far as your fingers, I want you to extend them, then flex them. I want you to abduct them where you spread them out as far as you can, and then bring them back together. Okay, great. So now we're going to test for muscle strength of his upper body. You may sit down for this part. I want you to squeeze my hands as hard as you can. I'll let you know if you're hurting me. All right. And I want you to pull against me when I try to pull you. Great. Push against me. Okay. And so I'm going to have you have your hands here, and I want you to pull them up against me. Okay, great. Now try to pull them down. Okay, great. And so he has 5 out of 5 muscle strength of his upper extremities, which is normal and what we would like to see. 4 out of 5 is if he has good muscle strength, but he's just a tad bit weaker. 3 means he can overcome gravity but not resistance. 2, you cannot overcome gravity, but you can move. 1 is little to no movement, and of course, anything below that means that they have no ability to move. And so now we're going to assess the range of motion of the lower extremities. Can I have you stand up again for me? We're going to assess your hip joints for me. So if you can, bring your knees to a 90-degree angle and put them back down. The other side. And then we're going to test your knee joints. I'm going to have you flex your knees and extend them both. Okay, great. And the other side. Now I'm going to have you abduct your hip joints. Are you able to extend that leg out to laterally? Great. And the other side. And then I'm going to have you forward and backwards. Okay, great. And so now now we're going to look at your ankles, which may be a little more difficult to assess. So I'm going to come help with the camera. Can you turn your ankles inward for me? And then outwards, which is internal and external rotation of the ankles. And if you can you move your ankles in a circular motion for me? All right. And then I'm going to have you point your toes towards the ceiling, which is dorsiflexion, and then point them towards the ground, which is plantar flexion. And the other side. Okay, great. And so we're going to test muscle strength of his lower extremities. You may sit down for this part. Okay. So I'll begin by having you put your feet on my hands. Press down at the gas pedal. Okay, great. And I want you to pull your toes up towards the ceiling. Okay, great. And so with your legs, I'm going to pull them towards me. I want you to keep me from pulling them. All And then the other way, I want you to pull them up against my resistance. Okay, great. All right. And he also has 5 out of 5 muscle strength of his lower extremities. So from here, we are now going to assess his reflexes. And unfortunately, I do not have a reflex hammer, so I'll be using my stethoscope. And then we have a few more tests that we can do to assess coordination and ability to maintain a steady gait and things of that sort. So before we go into reflexes, I'm actually going to have you stand up so we can assess your spine. Turn around for me and around. And his spine is it is vertical. I don't know any curvature that's not supposed to be there, so I'm going to have you bend forward for me. And his spine is still vertical. Okay, I'm going to have you stand back up for me and then hyperextend back. Okay, can you bend to the right and then bend to the left? So he does have full range of motion of his axial skeleton. He was able to flex and hyperextend, and then of course the lateral rotations. I'm going to have you turn back around for me, and I'm going to have you stand here, and then I want you to walk heel to toe for me. And when you get to the carpet, I want you to pivot and walk back. And pivot one more. And from that, you may stop. We can tell that his gait is steady. And so I'm going to have you turn forward for me. And I want you to stand with your eyes closed. Okay, and now arms up, straight in front of you, palms up. Okay, and so from that, again, we can tell that he is aware of his position in space. When he did the pronator drift test, his arms did not waver, which is great. And so now you actually may sit down for a moment. I'm just going to have you do some rapid movement tests so we can test coordination. And I'd like you to do palm and then the back of your hands as fast as you can on your thighs. And then try to speed up if you can. Okay, you may stop. And we're going to have you test finger dexterity. Take your thumb, and I want you to touch each one of your fingers and just continue to do it. Are you able to speed up a little bit? All right, and so he was able to complete the rapid movement test without difficulty. And so now we're going to test his ability to be steady and not to have a tremor. So Mr. Kane, I'm going to have you touch your nose and then touch my finger. And he is able to conduct this test without difficulty, and his movements are fluid. And so last, I'm going to have you take your shin and rub it up and down your leg, and then switch legs, and then do it with the other side. And again, he is able to complete this test without difficulty, and his movements are fluid. So now we will test his reflexes. And so, testing of reflexes, normally you would like for the patient to be sitting high enough to where their feet can swing a little so that they'll be a lot more relaxed. So in this, you will see that I'm going to assist in providing a way for his legs to hang without touching the floor so that we can actually test his reflexes. And so I'm going to begin with the knee, and I just want you to relax if you can. All right. And as you saw, his leg did move. Okay. And so now, that was his patellar tendon. And so now we're going to assess his Achilles, the reflex in his Achilles tendon. And again, I just would like you to relax. tap the tendon, the Achilles tendon. And so now the last, we're gonna assess his brachioradialis tendon. Okay, and just relax for me. And whenever we stimulate the tendon, we notice a twitch in his thumb. And that will conclude the assessment of the musculoskeletal system. Thank you.